There's a moment in every person's journey when they realize they've been doing it backwards. They've been trying to control reality when reality was actually waiting for them to stop controlling it. They've been fighting for outcomes when the fighting itself was creating the resistance. You might be at that moment right now. If you are, everything I'm about to say will land differently than it would have even a week ago, because you're finally ready to hear something that sounds simple but changes everything. Reality doesn't resist you randomly. It responds to what you're broadcasting, and most of what you're broadcasting is invisible to you. Let me show you what I mean. The signal you're sending without knowing it. Every moment your entire system is communicating with the world around you, not just through your words or actions, but through something deeper. Your nervous system, your emotional state, your body's baseline tension, all of it is sending out information that reality reads and responds to. When you want something but your body doesn't feel safe having it, that creates a contradiction. Your mind says yes while your nervous system says not yet, and reality doesn't respond to what you think you want. It responds to what your entire system is actually communicating. This is why you can visualize perfectly, affirm constantly, take all the right actions and still feel like you're hitting walls. Because underneath all of that, your body is broadcasting a different message. A message that says something is missing, that you're not ready, that this isn't safe yet. That contradiction creates what we call resistance. But resistance isn't something reality does to you. It's something your own system generates when it's not internally coherent. Think about it. When have things flowed easily in your life? When have doors opened without you having to bang on them? When have solutions appeared without you having to force them? I'm willing to bet those moments happened when you weren't trying so hard, when you were relaxed, when you had let go of needing it to happen a certain way. That state, that ease, that's alignment. And alignment isn't something you create through effort. It's something that emerges when you stop creating interference. Most people think they're not forcing because they're not being aggressive or pushy. But force isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it shows up as constant mental activity, as checking and monitoring, as planning every detail, as needing to know exactly how and when something will happen. Force is any energy that comes from the belief that if you don't make it happen, it won't happen. That if you don't stay on top of it, control it, manage it, it'll fall apart. And here's what that belief does to your system. It activates stress. Not dramatic, obvious stress. Subtle, chronic stress. The kind that keeps your nervous system slightly elevated all the time. The kind that makes your body feel like it's always preparing for something, always waiting for the other shoe to drop. In that state, your brain narrows. Your perception contracts. You start seeing problems everywhere because your system is literally looking for threats to solve. And the more you see problems, the more you try to fix them. The more you try to fix them, the more you reinforce the belief that everything requires your constant intervention. This creates a loop. A loop where you're always doing something, but nothing feels easy. Where you're always moving, but not actually getting closer. Where you're exhausted from effort, but can't point to real progress. That exhaustion isn't from working hard. It's from working against yourself. It's from trying to create outcomes while simultaneously signaling to reality that those outcomes aren't safe to receive yet. Here's something most people don't understand. Having clear intentions isn't the same as being aligned. You can know exactly what you want and still be completely out of alignment with actually receiving it. Intention is mental. It's a decision. It's saying this is what I want to create, and there's nothing wrong with that. But intention alone doesn't create movement, because reality doesn't respond to your thoughts, it responds to your state. Alignment is when your entire system agrees, when your mind, your emotions, and your body are all broadcasting the same message, when there's no internal argument, no part of you wanting it while another part fears it, no desire for change while your nervous system clings to what's familiar. Most people operate from split states. They want something new but their body feels safe in the old. They desire growth but their nervous system interprets growth as risk. They say they're ready but their baseline state is still organized around protecting themselves from disappointment. That split is what creates resistance. Not because the universe is testing you, not because you need to learn some lesson, but because reality literally cannot deliver something your system isn't ready to hold. Think of it this way. If you're not safe being visible, opportunities that require visibility will feel threatening. If you're not safe with money, financial abundance will trigger anxiety. If you're not safe being loved, intimate connection will make you want to run. The wanting doesn't matter if the safety isn't there, and safety isn't something you think your way into. It's something your nervous system needs to learn through experience. This is where most people sabotage themselves without realizing it. They finally drop into a state of ease. The mental chatter quiets, the urgency fades, the pressure to make something happen lifts. And instead of recognizing this as alignment, they panic. Because if you've spent years associating productivity with stress, calm feels wrong. If you've believed that things only happen when you're pushing, ease feels like you're not doing enough. If your nervous system learned that safety requires constant vigilance, relaxation feels dangerous. So the moment you touch real alignment, your system pulls you back into effort. Not because effort works better, but because effort is familiar, and your brain will always choose familiar discomfort over unfamiliar ease. This is why people cycle through the same patterns. They get close to alignment, their system flags it as unsafe, and they reintroduce just enough stress to feel normal again. Then they wonder why nothing changes. But here's what's actually happening in those calm moments. Your system is finally coherent, the noise is dropping, the interference is clearing, and for the first time, reality has a clean signal to respond to. Nothing looks different on the outside yet, because reality needs time to reorganize around your new state. But the reorganization has already started. Underneath the surface, pieces are moving into place. Timing is adjusting. Circumstances are shifting. You just can't see it yet, because you're measuring progress by external events instead of internal coherence. And internal coherence always comes first. There's a specific threshold where everything changes. It's the point where you stop trying to control outcomes and start trusting the process. Not as a spiritual concept, but as a lived experience in your body. At this threshold, effort doesn't disappear, but the quality of effort changes completely. You're no longer forcing, you're responding. You're no longer chasing, you're positioning. You're no longer convincing reality to move, you're allowing it to meet you. This feels completely different from anything you've experienced before. Action becomes simple, decisions become obvious. Movement happens without the heavy emotional weight that used to come with it. You stop overthinking because your system trusts itself. You stop second-guessing because there's no internal conflict to resolve. You stop needing validation because you're complete within yourself. And when you reach this state, something remarkable happens. Reality stops pushing back. Doors that were locked suddenly open. People who were unavailable suddenly reach out. Solutions that seemed impossible suddenly appear. Not because you did something to make it happen, but because you stopped doing the things that were blocking it. You'll know you're in alignment not by what's happening externally, but by how things feel internally. Here's what that looks like. Obstacles lose their emotional charge. Problems still exist, but they don't drain you. You handle them without drama. You respond without getting pulled into stories about what they mean or why they're happening. Timing smooths out. You stop missing opportunities. You stop arriving too early or too late. Things happen when they're supposed to happen, and that timing feels natural instead of frustrating. People respond to you differently, not because you changed your behavior intentionally, but because your energy is no longer asking them for anything. You're not seeking approval, validation, or agreement, and because you're not seeking it, people stop withholding it. Decisions become easier. You don't agonize over choices. You don't replay conversations in your mind. You make a decision, and it settles. You move on without questioning whether you chose correctly. Your emotional state evens out. Life feels less dramatic. Not boring, just balanced. You're no longer riding highs and crashing into lows. You're steady, and that steadiness is what allows sustained creation. You stop talking about what you're doing, not because you're being secretive, but because nothing feels unresolved inside you. You're not rehearsing your vision to convince yourself it's real. You're just living it quietly. These aren't small signs. These are fundamental shifts in how you relate to reality. And when they show up, they confirm that something has changed at a level deeper than behavior or mindset. Your system has reorganized itself around a new baseline. When reality starts moving in your favor, it doesn't announce itself with fireworks. It shows up quietly. A message that changes something. A small opportunity that opens a larger door. A conversation that shifts your trajectory. These moments don't feel monumental when they happen. You might not even recognize them as significant. But weeks or months later, you look back and realize that was the turning point. That was when everything started moving. This is how aligned manifestation works. It's not dramatic, it's not explosive. It's subtle, consistent, and surprisingly ordinary. And that ordinariness is actually the proof that it's real. Because when you're forcing, results feel hard-won. They come with struggle. They require constant effort to maintain. There's always this sense that if you stop pushing, everything will collapse. But when you're aligned, results feel natural. They arrive like they were always coming. They fit into your life easily. They don't require you to change who you are to keep them. They just belong. And the more you experience this, the more you realize that reality was never the problem. Your relationship with reality was the problem. You were treating it like something to conquer when it was actually something to collaborate with. Here's what most people miss about manifestation. It's not about what you do. It's about who you're being while you're doing it. You can take all the right actions from the wrong state and create resistance. Or you can take simple actions from the right state and create flow. The right state isn't excitement or motivation or even confidence. The right state is settledness. It's the ability to be present in your current reality without needing it to be different, to hold your vision without gripping it, to move toward what you want without running from where you are. This state is uncomfortable at first because it requires you to stop using the future to escape the present. It requires you to be okay now, even if nothing has changed yet. It requires you to find your center in the middle of uncertainty, instead of waiting for certainty to feel centered. But when you learn to do this, when you learn to be settled in the present while moving toward the future, everything shifts. Because you're no longer sending out the signal that something is wrong. You're sending out the signal that everything is already working. And reality responds to that signal by proving it true. Once alignment becomes your baseline, once it's not just a state you touch occasionally, but a way of being you return to naturally, manifestation stops feeling like work. It starts feeling like reception. You're not making things happen anymore. You're noticing what's trying to happen and removing yourself as an obstacle. You're not creating opportunities. You're recognizing the ones that were always there but you couldn't see because your system was too noisy. This is the level where synchronicities become normal, where timing works in your favor without you orchestrating it, where solutions appear without you searching for them, where reality moves toward you instead of you constantly moving toward it. And the most important thing, you stop being afraid that it'll stop working because you're no longer doing anything to make it work. You're just being in a state that allows it to work. And that state doesn't require maintenance. It requires presence. You're in true alignment when you stop checking if you're in alignment, when you stop asking, is this working, or am I doing this right? When the internal monitoring finally quiets and you're just living. You know you're there when action feels clean, when decisions don't echo in your mind afterward, when you can rest without guilt and move without force, when your baseline state is calm but engaged, present but not controlling. You know you're there when you stop needing proof before you believe, when your trust isn't conditional on seeing results, when you can hold your vision lightly instead of gripping it desperately. And you know you're there when reality stops feeling like something separate from you, when there's no gap between who you are and what you're creating, when your life starts reflecting your internal state so accurately that you realize you were never separate from it at all. That's alignment, not a technique, not a practice, a state of being where you and reality are finally working together instead of against each other. Everything you've been trying to force, control, or make happen was always possible. It wasn't blocked by the universe. It wasn't being kept from you. It was waiting for one thing, for your system to become coherent enough to receive it. Every delay was your nervous system saying, not yet, we're not ready. Every obstacle was feedback showing you where you were still in conflict with yourself. Every moment of resistance was an invitation to stop interfering and start aligning. And now that you understand this, now that you can feel the difference between forcing and allowing, everything becomes simpler, not easier necessarily, but clearer. You know what to do. You stop doing what doesn't work. You trust what wants to emerge. Reality no longer resists you because you've stopped resisting reality. You've stopped trying to bend it to your will and started collaborating with it. You've stopped treating it like an enemy to defeat and started treating it like a partner to dance with. And in that dance, in that co-creation, you discover something profound. You were never powerless. You were just using your power in the wrong direction. You were using it to control instead of to align, to force instead of to allow, to push instead of to open. But now you know better. Now you know that true power isn't in the pushing, it's in the presence. It's in the ability to remain coherent while reality reorganizes itself around you. That's quantum alignment. When your internal state becomes so clear, so stable, so free of interference, that reality has nothing left to push against. And when there's nothing to push against, movement becomes inevitable. Not because you made it happen, but because you finally stopped preventing it. Reality was always ready to move. It was just waiting for you to get out of the way.